Hi everyone, welcome back. This is going to be round 3 of the Lincoln, Nebraska Fennekin League Challenge. And here we have another match between two masters. On the right is Eli, who's playing the Slurpuff Chinchino deck, like you saw earlier in the previous video. Yeah, I got him twice in a row, but it was unavoidable. So, he's playing his Slurpuff Chinchino deck. It was labeled LetsFlipHeads.dec. And on the left is his new opponent, Mike Conn, not to be confused with the Michael from previous videos that I have showed. This is a completely different Mike. So, yeah, I forget what Mike Conn is playing. I think he's playing a plasma deck. Once we start watching the video, I'll be able to tell for sure. But he placed 4th in this tournament. I forgot where Eli placed, to be frank. Anyway, so just passing the time waiting for them for setup and stuff, and it's pretty fun to see what kind of decks they play at League Challenge. League Challenge is sort of a place to go and see how your deck works in a competitive setting. Because you can play against friends all you want, but they might hold back. You can go to League, but there might not be the best decks there. League Challenge is the place to go with your rogue decks and see how well it does in a competitive setting. And that's what Eli did here. And as you saw last video, he almost won his second game. I forgot where he came out in his first game. I don't know if I ever really knew, but anyway. And yes, Mike is running a plasma deck. So they both mulligan, and that means they're going to reshuffle, draw 7 cards. Some people are confused by this. When both you and your opponent draw no basics, neither of you gets an extra card. Some people think that means that both of you get an extra card, but nope. You just reset at that point, and you just keep resetting until one of you gets basics. Then the extra card rule applies, and even if your opponent does draw a basic, you can always choose to not draw an extra card. There's really no downside to drawing an extra card in our current format, unless your opponent mulligans like 59 times, and then you're down to your last card in your deck. But by that point, you should realize that there's something fishy with their deck, with their shuffling. Maybe there's no basics in it, and they just slid by. In which case, a judge would probably be over there long before that point. But in any case, there is no drawback outside of that. And while I'm thinking about it, a few people pointed out on my last video that at the Klaczynski Open, the Top Cut Invitational last year, right after Worlds, Jay Witz played Colress for 0 and then beached for 7. That was in response to where I said there's really never a good time to Colress for 0. I stand corrected. But outside of that, if you play Beach, then that's probably the only time you would Colress for 0. Can anyone think of any other time when you would Colress for 0? Let me know. And while we're doing that, it looks like Eli went first, started out with a Mr. Mime, not the best thing to start with. Played a Fairy Energy on Mr. Mime and then played in. That's where we are now. And Mike started with a Thunderous, which is a great first Pokemon to have when you're playing Plasma. And he has a Spritzy on the bench, so he plays Aromatisse in this deck. And Aromatisse has the ability, I think it's Fairy Transfer. I think it's Fairy Transfer, where anytime you want, you can move Fairy Energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. It's identical to Hydreigon's Dark Trance and Clink Clang Shift Gear. But anyway, so Eli got a Minccino and a Full Art Regigigas EX, which he had prized last game. Oh, he got 3 Minccino off that end. How about that? He's going to retreat Mr. Mime, put up Regigigas, and pass. So it's Mike's turn. Off of his end, he got a Genesect, which he's playing right now. He didn't get a Team Plasma Ball or a supporter, which could hurt him. He is going to attach a Plasma Energy to Genesect and use Genesect's red signal to bring up Mr. Mime again, pretty much wasting Eli's retreat. And there's not much else he can do. He's going to pass. So Eli drew a Bicycle. He's going to Bike for, I think, 2. He has another supporter there. He almost plays in, but then he realized that Mike didn't play a supporter last turn, and he's thinking, oh, I might want to not play that right now. But he might not have a choice if he doesn't have anything else to do. So he goes ahead and plays in. So that'll be helping out both him and Mike. Well, we'll see. We'll see what Mike gets off of his in. If they both get 6 cards, that's just as good of a chance to get something. Eli cannot get an Aromatisse. I'm sorry, a Slurpuff into play this turn. He can get 3 Chinchinos, but at most he can put down a Swirlix. He cannot put down a Slurpuff. So he cannot take advantage of Slurpuff's ability, which negates any status conditions for Pokemon with Fairy Energy attached. Which is fine because, as far as we've seen, Mike doesn't actually play anything to suggest that he has that kind of stuff in his deck, like a laser or stuff like that. And off of the 6 cards he got off of Vin, there's nothing there either. So Eli drew a Swirlix off of his end, so he's going to play that. Now his bench is full. Attaches to Mr. Mime. He's going to level ball here. I can guarantee it's going to be a Chinchino. And yep, because honestly, what else would you go for when you have a full bench? Well, that's not entirely true. He could play something completely crazy like Scoop Up Cyclone, pick up something, then level ball for Jirachi and use that to get a supporter. You got to think about this. You know, there are surprises out there. So once again, he retreats Mr. Mime and puts Regigigas as his new active Pokemon. Then he plays Super Rod and puts those Fairy Energy back into his deck. I don't know what else is in his hand, but this might be the end of his turn. I'm not exactly sure why he didn't put the Chinchino up instead. Maybe he wants to get it powered up to attack first. Oh, he does play Bicycle, though, for 3 new cards. That'll help. He got a Fairy Energy off that, but since he already attached for his turn, he can't use it. Fairy Garden, and once again, I don't know what it does. I really should have looked at that in between recording audio. My apologies. If you guys know what Fairy Garden does, then please let the rest of us know. If you don't know, I guess you could Google it, but I do apologize. I, as the commentator, should know more about these cards, so I really don't have an excuse for my ignorance. He level balls for another Chinchino. He is having a really good turn, getting a lot of stuff into play. He's playing a lot of cards, thinning out his deck, and he's in a pretty good position. But considering we saw him go up against an Yveltal deck last game and not a Plasma deck, it's going to be interesting to see how this will be handled by Mike. So he draws for his turn. He drew a Team Plasma Ball. He attaches a Prism Energy to Thundurus, puts a Kyurem on the bench, and Plasma Balls. He could go for just about anything here. He could go for a Deoxys. He could go for another Thundurus, maybe. Well, he could go for a few things, but he goes for Deoxys, and I think that was the better card to go after, because that'll increase Thundurus' attack by 10. 10 extra damage doesn't seem like much at face value, but it racks up. It really does. Especially since nowadays, sometimes you're just 10 short of knocking something out, and that extra 10 damage could be the difference between winning and losing a game. That's the whole strategy behind the Team Plasma deck. Put down Deoxys on the bench to power up your Pokemon all the more. So, still shuffling after that Deoxys, which tells me he's not going to play any other cards to search out his deck. I don't know if he even has any anyway. Sorry, his hand is just off camera. He has a Tool Scrapper, but there's nothing for him to discard. He has 2 Tool Scrappers, that's unfortunate. He has a Switch. Yeah, he's just gonna raid a Knuckle for 100 and... I'm sorry, 60. 40 base... 30 base damage, plus Deoxys is another 10, and the Muscle Band is another 20, so that's 60 altogether. For 1 energy, that's pretty good. So now it's Eli's turn. He Cold Rests for 9. 9 good cards here. Hopefully good. This is what he wants, because he saw Mike, again, did not play a supporter last turn. I believe Mike has not played a supporter at all this game. So he is able to get a fresh, big hand and not help Mike out at all. And Colress is a really good supporter to have in this deck because you almost always want your bench full. So, yeah, so Colress is a really good supporter to have. He got a lot of stuff here. I see a Slurpuff, so he can get Slurpuff into play here. Yep. And he has, let's see, Muscle Band. He's going to put that onto one of his Chinchinos. I see a Tool Scrapper. He could play that to get rid of that Muscle Band. Or he could wait and see if Mike plays any more tools. No, he's just going to get rid of it, and I think that's the safe play, because otherwise Thunderous is just doing that much more damage. And Mike could always play down another tool onto Thunderous, but there's really no reason. There's Eli discarded the Muscle Band from Thunderous. That is in the discard pile to stay. Mike has no way of getting it back. So getting rid of even one card from play is a really big deal sometimes. So he passed. Mike is playing, I think he played a Skyla, and he's using it to get Colress. In fact, I'm positive that's Skyla. My apologies. Sometimes I get so caught up trying to explain something I don't pay attention as much as I should. I'll work on that. I really will. I think I'm getting better at commentating every video, especially these videos where I didn't actually play. But please bear with me. If you find me annoying, then you can just mute the audio and just watch. If you think that I'm good but I can improve, then leave a message saying how. I really do welcome any suggestions. And he's done shuffling, so he's going to... He has 2 Tool Scrapper in his hand. I don't see why he shouldn't use one to get rid of that Muscle Band, and he did. He's going to raid a Knuckle and put 40 damage on Chinchino. And since he doesn't have any energy in his discard pile, he can't attach it to his bench, which is annoying. But it is Eli's turn. Next turn, if Mike gets a Deoxys in play or another Muscle Band, then this Chinchino can potentially die. But honestly, I'm kind of rooting for Eli here because he has a Chinchino that requires LetsFlipHeads. I'm sorry, that requires Eli flip tails in order for any attack to hit it, which is huge. In coin flips these days, they determine a lot. So, anyway, so he played an Ultra Ball there, I think. Yeah, that was an Ultra Ball. I didn't see what he got, though. Did he get a Chinchino? No, he did not get a Chinchino. I don't know what he got. He might have just been searching his deck for Chinchino and it wasn't there. He plays Colress again for 9. And his Regigigas has 60 on it and Chinchino has 40. But that's it. He really needs to get energy into play because he only has 1 energy. It's on Regigigas. That thing needs 3 to do anything. That is a downside of this deck that I see. It takes at least 2 turns to power stuff up, which is not bad, but in order to do any damage at all, you need 2 damage. Whereas a bunch of big decks these days require only 1 or have ways of getting stuff powered up in 1 turn. Yeah. He attaches a double colorless energy to Chinchino, takes it back, puts it on his active Chinchino and passes. Mike just drew a Juniper. He could play Colress or Juniper here. He's going to play Colress. Because I guess he just didn't want to get rid of that much stuff in his hand. Plus he's getting a bigger hand by playing Colress. And either way would have not helped out Eli in any way. So probably just better to get more cards anyway. So that was only the second supporter he's played all game. The first one was Skyla to get this supporter. When you haven't played a supporter for several turns, 4 or 5, then you're typically at a disadvantage, especially if your opponent plays a ton of supporters. But in this case, I'd say Mike is not that bad off because he has stuff ready to go. He has a Thunderous that's doing damage. He has a Genesect that has the Plasma Energy on it, so all it really needs is, well, he could play a Prism Energy on it and power that thing up, although honestly, in this case, I'd say Genesect is more for support than to actually attack. I saw 4 energies there and a bunch of other stuff. He did get a Aromatisse, so he could put that into play. And then begin fairy transfer. Maybe he'll wait with the Aromatisse. Nope, he's going to do it right now. He still has an energy to attach for his turn and a Deoxys. Now, if he uses Thundurus and Eli flips Tails, this Chinchino is dead. But the catch is that Eli has to flip Tails, and maybe Mike is thinking, well, maybe I don't want to do that, because if he flips Heads, then this is a wasted turn. Maybe I'll just power up Kyurem instead and try to spread the damage. So I think he's playing Ultra Ball here. Or Computer Search. Because he got rid of a Deoxys. Regardless, he didn't actually pick anything out of his deck. So, yeah. He does have options here. He could retreat the Thundurus. He could... If he has Switch, he could play that, but I don't know if he does or not. Yeah, that's... he does have options, though. Regardless of what's in his hand, he has a few things that he could do. He has a Rainbow Energy as well. He already attached a Prism to Kyurem for his turn. He's going to raid a Knuckle. Eli flipped Heads, so it didn't knock out the Chinchino, but he did put a Rainbow Energy from his discard pile onto Kyurem. So now that Kyurem has an extra energy on it, and that may be all it needs. So Eli plays a Fairy Energy on Chinchino and plays in. Again, they both get 6 cards because neither of them has taken a prize yet. There is some real hard thinking going on in this game. Pretty much, when you're up against Plasma, you need to really think carefully because every one of your moves counts, every step that you take in your turn. But at the same time, when you actually play Plasma yourself, every step counts as well. It's a very big, very difficult thing to grasp. And I remember when the Top Cut released a video, beginning decks, Plasma, and there were a bunch of complaints that Plasma is not a beginning deck. It requires a lot of strategy, a lot of hard thinking. I can't really say if I agree or disagree with them because I haven't actually played Plasma myself, but from what I see other people play, it is very difficult. So, Eli does Echoed Voice for 50. And it's Mike's turn. He has the energy to send up Kyurem right now. Because even if that Chinchino isn't knocked out, he could still target the bench and start spreading... No, I'm sorry, he can't because Mr. Mime is there. Wow, I'm a little slow. I apologize. He attaches another Plasma Energy to Genesect and uses Reg Signal to bring up the Regigigas. And I guess he played Switch because he didn't discard the energy attached to Thundurus. Brings up Kyurem, uses Fairy Transfer to move the Prism energy from Thundurus to Kyurem, because while it's in play, it counts for every energy, and that includes Fairy. So Fairy Transfer works for Prism and Rainbow energy, as well as regular Fairy energy for Fairy Transfer. And Mike, I guess, uses Gigafrost for knockout and gets 2 easy prizes. So that was the first prize-taking turn of the game. And it's Eli's turn. He attached a Fairy Energy to his bench Chinchino and used his active Chinchino's Echoed Voice for 50. Because even though it's the same in Chinchino, it was still put on the bench in between turns. So it's now it's reset as far as its Echoed Voice goes. It only does 50. And Mike cannot use any attacks again this turn because, well, again, I really need to know these cards better. I believe Kyurem cannot attack again after it uses Gigafrost. But I could be wrong. Or is it Hail Blizzard? Might be Hail Blizzard. It's second attack, okay? The one that does 120. I believe it cannot attack when it uses that attack the next turn. So Mike plays a Plasma Energy on Genesect brings up the Mr. Mime. Uses Max Potion to bring the damage off of Thunderous. He could retreat his Curum and then use Fairy Transfer to power something else up. I think he played a Skyla there. Yeah, he must have because that's a muscle band. I see what he can do. He can... Oh, well, that's brutal. Kyurem has a 3 retreat cost, so if he were to flat out retreat it, then that would put all of the energy in the discard pile. He could get it back with Thunderous, but that is annoying. In any case, the only energy that would be left in that case would be the plasma energy on Genesect. Okay, I guess Fairy Garden has the... Oh, it might be anything with Fairy Energy on it has no retreat cost. That must be it, because he just retreated Kyurem for free. And used Fairy Trance to send an energy from Kyurem to Thunderous. That would be a Rainbow Energy. Yeah, that's what Fairy Garden does. It gives you free retreat if you have a Fairy Energy on you. And he's doing 60... 70. I think he's doing just barely enough to knock out the Mr. Mime. Yep. Now the bench is wide open to be sniped by Kyurem. And it's Eli's turn. He starts powering up another Cinccino because he realizes, these probably won't last too long. So he plays Super Rod, puts Mr. Mime, Regigigas, and a Fairy Energy back into his deck. At this point, Mike has far bigger prize lead. It's 3 prizes against 6 now. Eli has not taken a single prize, but nothing is impossible with Trollchino. You know, all he needs to do is keep flipping heads whenever it's being attacked, and he could just win by flipping heads constantly. Of course, it's never that easy in real life, but you know, in theory, it could happen someday. So he plays in. Now Mike gets 3 cards and Eli gets 6. That actually did hurt Mike because he had a relatively large hand. If I'm Mike at this point, I would try to figure out what I'd want to do. You could easily target the bench. You could go for Slurpuff and Minccino, and that would... Suddenly I'm having a mind blurp as to what Slurpuff's ability does. Fairy Garden really just knocked it out of me, but in any case... Oh yeah, the no special conditions, that's right. I apologize. So he plays in, he gets Mr. Mime and another Minccino into play. He still doesn't have a 3rd Cinccino out yet. My guess is it's prized. If he plays 4, then 2 of them are prized, otherwise he would have had them by now, because I know he played Ultra Ball for nothing earlier. So he echoed voices for 50, it's Mike's turn. He has 2 energy, a Kyurem, and a Verbank City Gem, I think, in his hand. That might be a Verbank. No, that's a Fairy Garden as well. So he plays Fairy Garden. So he's going to retreat his Thunderous, put Genesect up there, and Genesect actually has the energy... No, now it has the energy necessary after the Fairy Transfer to do its attack. I forgot what its attack is. Regardless, it knocks out Cinccino. He cannot target the bench because Mr. Mime's in play, but he did knock out Cinccino, and he looked like he reacted in some way to his prize. It was probably either something he really needed or something he didn't need because it was a reaction. So, let's see. Eli puts a Fairy Energy on Minccino and echoed voices for 50. Mike's turn. He drew an in. He plays an energy on Deoxys because he knows he might need that, and plays Professor Juniper, gets rid of his hand, 7 new cards. He did get a Colress machine, probably not what he needs. Actually, most definitely not what he needs. Let's see. He already attached for his turn, so no reason to attach now. He is going to probably just use Genesect's attack. Megalocannon. There you go, Megalocannon. No, he's going to retreat into Kyurem, so Yeah, and he uses Fairy Transfer to put 2 more energy onto Kirim. And he's probably going to go for that second attack. And yeah, he went for that second attack, and Eli flipped heads. He is still alive. And what's even worse is Kirim can't attack next turn either. And he used so Eli used Echoed Voice for knockout there, and got his first prize. Anyway, so Mike promotes Deoxys with an energy on it. He could Fairy Transfer another energy onto it, but would he rather use Deoxys here or keep it on the bench and try using Thundurus? Because Thundurus can take a hit, and Genesect can take a hit, and he just put another Kirim into play. So there's a few options he could do. Frankly, I'm surprised that he was able to use Genesect in this game. I'm sure he wasn't planning on it, but sometimes that's just what you need to do. He attached a Rainbow Energy to Aromatisse. He's going to put a damage counter on it because that's part of what you need to do when you play an energy onto Aromatisse. He retreats into his fresh Kirim. He's going to use Fairy Transfer to put a Rainbow Energy from Aromatisse to Kirim, the Prism Energy from Deoxys to Kirim. He is 1 energy short, but he could move it from Thundurus to Kirim if he wanted to. Or he could call Rest Machine. That works. But he needs to have the Plasma Energy in his deck, and he does. And he attaches it to Kirim. If Eli flips tails, this Chinchino is dead, and Mike is down to 1 prize. Eli still has 4 left. It'd be very hard for him to come back from this unless he gets a Chinchino into play this next turn. And judging from what I have seen, he doesn't have it in his deck to work with. The only chance is that he pulled it off of his 2 prizes from knocking out the Genesect, and can't see his hand, of course, so we're going to see what's in his hand after this. And on top of that, he could still flip heads after this Gigafrost or Frost Spear. No, I don't know what it is. I apologize. So, the moment of truth, tails. That Chinchino's dead. Mike takes his next to final prize. It's Eli's turn, and he scoops. There's no way he can get Chinchino into play. And yeah, that is the game, folks. So I hope you all enjoyed this, the second round of the League Challenge. Stay tuned for next time for the final round. Hope you all enjoyed. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more.